Welcome to LexiCast, a podcast designed to help you grow in your legal practice, with weekly updates on current topics, trends, and practical insights. Perfect for listening on the go. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. As we're rounding the corner into 2026, it feels like every lawyer, every firm, needs to face this one fundamental truth. Generative AI is not optional anymore, and the rules we've relied on, they're sort of shifting under our feet.
They absolutely are. And our mission today is to, move past all the hype. We're going to focus on the key risk areas, the red flags that directly impact your professional conduct under the uniform law.
So this isn't about how to write a good prompt.
No, this is about where the ethical tripwires are hidden.
Okay, so before we dive into those risks, let's just quickly frame what we're talking about. When we say generative AI, we mean what?
We mean systems like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, the kind of AI that's built to create new content. So text, code, images. It's simulating human output based on all the data it's learned from.
And lawyers are already using these tools for, well, almost everything.
Oh, definitely. We're seeing it for legal research, summarizing massive case files, automating documents, even drafting first-pass contract clauses. The efficiency gains can be enormous.
But those gains come with a cost, if you're not careful.
Exactly. If diligence is sacrificed, that's where the trouble starts.
So let's start with what I think is the most immediate and honestly the most dangerous professional risk. The integrity challenge. When we talk about Gen AI, it's that reliability issue, right? The hallucinations.
Right. And hallucinations is sort of a gentle word for it. They're essentially convincing lies. These models are designed to predict the next logical word. They're built for fluency, not for veracity. So if they don't know an answer, they make one up that sounds plausible.
And we have the perfect, if not terrifying, real-world example of this. That U.S. attorney case, it's really set the precedent, hasn't it?
It's the canonical example. So this lawyer, he's preparing a court submission, uses ChatGPT for research, and ends up citing 6 completely fabricated cases.
Not just misinterpreting a case, 6 that did not exist.
Did not exist. We're talking made-up case names, phantom citations, even fictional quotes from judges. The whole thing was just manufactured by the AI.
And the part of that story that always gets me is the double down.
Yes. When the other side pointed out, hey, we can't find these cases, the lawyer went back to ChatGPT to verify its own work.
And of course, the AI, in its very confident voice, said,
It said, yes, these are real cases. You can find them on Westlaw. It just lied again.
The fallout was pretty severe.
It was. The court found the lawyer acted in bad faith, that he'd misled the court. He and his firm were fined $5,000, which is one thing, but the reputational damage was catastrophic.
What's key for me, though, is the judge's reasoning. The judge didn't just say, don't use AI for court filings.
That's the most important takeaway for every single lawyer listening. The court was very clear. Using the AI was not inherently wrong. The core breach of conduct was the lawyer's failure to check the output. It confirmed you cannot delegate your non-delegable duty to the court to an algorithm. You are the final gatekeeper.
And that standard is now essentially global. We've even seen it here in Australia.
We have. There was a family lawyer who used a Gen AI feature built into Leap software. And same thing. It cited cases that didn't exist. A family court judge caught it and referred it straight to the Victorian Legal Services Board. So the stakes are just as high locally.
And if we map these failures back to our ethical rules, it's a direct hit on the uniform law, isn't it?
It lands squarely on that paramount duty to the court and, of course, the duty to deliver legal services competently and diligently. That's Rule 4.
Okay, let's unpack that. Competence and diligence, these are ancient duties. How does Gen AI suddenly make them a new problem?
Because the standard of care is not static. What was competent 5 years ago is not necessarily competent today. Competence has to be interpreted based on the standard of a reasonable and prudent lawyer in, say, 2026. And today, that includes understanding and verifying new technology.
So the argument, I don't understand technology, is no longer an excuse?
It's rapidly becoming indefensible. And this shift has global backing. The American Bar Association, way back in 2012, added a comment requiring competency to include the benefits and, crucially, the risks of relevant technology.
And almost 40 U.S. states have adopted that.
Exactly. We're seeing similar guidance from Canada, from the Bar Association here. The expectation is clear. You have to keep up.
Okay, so if diligence now means verification, what's the practical risk management step a lawyer should be taking right now? How do you prove you checked?
This is critical. Every lawyer, every firm needs a policy to keep a written record of all Gen AI usage. That means you document the prompts you used, the date, and the full output that the AI gave you.
So it's about creating a paper trail.
It is. If your diligence is ever questioned, that record is your proof. It shows you had a verifiable process, that you weren't just blindly copying and pasting from a chatbot.
That's incredibly practical. So far, we've talked about external output work going to a court or a client. But what about the risks inside the firm?
Right. And this brings us to two huge areas: confidentiality, which is Rule 9, and supervision, which is Rule 37.
Let's start with confidentiality. How is Gen AI a threat to client trust?
The risk is when your staff take confidential client information, file notes, documents, anything, and upload it into an external, unregulated system. Think of the public free version of ChatGPT.
So let's say I'm using it for internal work. I'm summarizing a complex medical file, but I'm careful. I use pseudonyms. I change identifying data. Is that enough?
It's a very risky bet, because when you upload that data, it's often stored and used to train that public model. Even with redactions, you're still exposing privileged material to a third party. That could be a breach of confidentiality, maybe even a waiver of privilege.
So what's the solution? Does this mean we just can't use these powerful tools with our client files?
The solution is using the right tool. It's about differentiating between public systems and secure internal enterprise systems. Think of something like Microsoft Copilot that's integrated into your firm's private network. It creates a kind of sandbox. The data stays within your secure environment.
So it's not being used to train the wider public model.
Exactly. Your firm keeps control. That distinction is absolutely vital for complying with Rule 9.
Okay, let's switch to the other internal nightmare. Supervision. Rule 37 is unambiguous. The supervising solicitor is responsible.
It's crystal clear. And yet, we have data showing this monumental disconnect. One poll suggested that up to 80% of employed lawyers use ChatGPT without telling their supervisor.
80%, that's a staggering figure. It's a huge blind spot.
It's a massive risk exposure, because good supervision requires knowing what tools your staff are using and, more importantly, how they're using them.
You have to draw a line somewhere, though. If a junior's just using it to check grammar, does that really need partner sign-off?
That's the nuance, right? For basic admin tasks, the risk is low. But if they're using it to draft substantive legal arguments or summarize discovery,
Core legal work.
the core work, that absolutely requires oversight. The supervising partner needs an active, documented policy that requires staff to disclose when and how they're using Gen AI for that substantive work. Without that, you can't meet your ethical obligations.
And finally, let's talk about the elephant in the room, billing. Gen AI just blows up the traditional time-based model.
It completely disrupts it.
If an AI does 10 hours of research in 30 minutes, you can't bill the client for 10 hours of your time.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
And trying to do so would be very hard to justify ethically. It really pushes firms toward fixed fee or value-based billing.
Give me a concrete example of how that would work.
Okay, say a complex discovery review traditionally takes an associate 50 hours, billed at, say, $300 an hour. That's a $15,000 job. Now, with an AI tool, it takes the associate just 5 hours.
So how do you charge for that ethically?
You capture the value. Instead of charging $15,000 based on time, you charge a fixed fee of maybe $8,000. That fee reflects the outcome, the quick, accurate review, but also accounts for your firm's investment in the software, the training, and the high-level legal analysis the lawyer still provides. It's billing outcomes, not inputs.
So as we look to the new year, it's clear the standard of care is rising.
It is. The three pillars are accuracy, confidentiality, and supervision. The lawyer is always the final checkpoint. The breach is the failure to check, not the failure to use the tool.
And this raises a final and I think a really powerful question for every lawyer listening to mull over. We know there's no current requirement to use Gen AI. But given how good these internal safe systems are getting, could a failure to adopt technology to deliver a cost-effective service, could that eventually be a breach of care?
Is a duty to innovate slowly emerging? That's the question every prudent lawyer needs to be thinking about right now.
It certainly is. Thankfully, there are now a lot of resources out there from regulators and organizations like the Supreme Court of Victoria and the College of Law Center for Legal Innovation. They can help you start developing your own Gen AI usage policy. I'd really encourage you to take advantage of those. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today.
That's it for today's episode on LexiCast. If you're looking for more in-depth episodes that can also be claimed as CPD activities, check out our LexiCast CPD Plus page linked in this episode's notes. Follow us now to stay up to date, and we'll see you next time.